Hello everyone and welcome to Ian's Bricks. So I'm here today to talk about the Bricklink Designer Program. If you don't know what that is, Bricklink is basically a website where you can buy individual pieces and sets and things like that. It was an independently run thing, and a couple of years ago I think Lego took it over, so it is now run by Lego. But about 3 or 4 years ago they started this designer program where people could submit their builds that they've made themselves, and they can actually be made into proper Lego sets. And this actually went through a few different phases back in 2021, 2022, and I think at the time the initial wave of sets there was only 10,000 of them produced, and quite often they would sell out very, very quickly. But they sort of rejigged it and restarted it again from what they call Series 1, even though there'd been about 15 sets prior to Series 1 starting. But they increased the number of sets they were producing from 10,000 to I think it's 30,000. That's a maximum of 30,000. I think they have to have at least 3,000 people say that they're going to buy the set before they will actually produce the set. I don't think any sets yet have fallen foul of that level yet, but there are quite a few sets, certainly from the more recent series, where they haven't reached the full 30,000 capacity. Now, don't get me wrong, some of these sets look very, very nice, and certainly some of the earlier sets have done very, very well on the aftermarket. So if you're a Lego investor like myself, these are the kind of sets that you should be sort of looking at to sort of buy into to possibly sell on at a future date. As for sets for building, I've never really heard any majorly negative things about them. I haven't actually built one myself, but all the reviews and things on YouTube and things like that tend to be very, very positive about how these sets are. I think the only downside with the sets is they don't come with an instruction manual, so you do have to go onto the app to download the instruction manual. And of course all of these sets are created by Lego fans, and there are some really, really good designs out there. There's obviously a lot of castle things and things like that, but this is a theme that I have started buying into. However, from a Lego investment point of view, I personally don't think they're that great a thing to go into. Certainly in the past there have been some very, very successful sets which are going for very, very much more than the recommended retail price back in the day, but certainly for some of the more recent series, I think the after sales have been very slow and very sluggish, and I think whereas in the past people could probably almost double their money overnight, I just don't think that's happening anymore. And also probably, I do have a thing where I don't maybe feel as though too many investors should be buying in these sets, because they really are for people to build and enjoy. And I think previously, when there was only 10,000 run on these sets, there were a lot of people buying them and literally just to sell on. That's literally all they were doing them for. Yes, and I know I do that as well, but I didn't buy any of the earlier sets, and I think that has slowed down now. So it's probably not a bad thing that they've started to produce more. Lego do know what they're doing with these kind of things, so I think the idea for producing more of them is there's going to be less of a buzz really on the aftermarket. It doesn't mean to say that sets aren't still very good, but yeah, there's certainly less of an incentive, certainly for me, to buy too many of these sets, because I think long term, they might increase in value over a period of time like a normal Lego set was, but I think that instant sort of bump that you used to get for the sets when the run was 10,000 certainly seems to have disappeared. It doesn't seem to be there anymore. That's not to say that some of the sets aren't still going to be more popular than other ones. So I'll start talking about Series 4. So Series 4 is going to be launched on the 4th of February. You can also already check out the Bricklink Designer Program website, where it's got a list of 5 different sets that will be available to purchase or to pre-order from the 4th of February. And this normally goes live, I think it's 8 AM Pacific time in the USA, which means it's around about 4 PM here in the UK. It'll be 5 PM in Europe, for example. So wherever you are in the world, it all goes live at exactly the same time for everybody, so do take your time in. So there are 5 different sets that you can buy, and I think what's interesting about this particular wave is all of the sets from what I can see are certainly a lot more expensive. There are no cheaper sets this particular wave. We've got the Merchant Boat, which is £149.99 in UK pounds, or £169 $169.99 in US dollars. I don't know what the euro conversion is on these ones yet. There's the Wild West Train, $249.99, which is $279.99 in US dollars. The Medieval Seaside Market at £199.99 and $229.99 in US dollars. Siege Encampment, which is also £199.99 and $229.99 in US dollars. And finally, there's the Riverside Scholars, $169.99 in pounds and $199.99 in US dollars. So all of those sets are pretty much more than £150 in value. I think in the past there's always been at least one or two sort of smaller sets. Obviously they're going to be smaller sets if they're not worth as much, and they've always sold out pretty quickly, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly, if at all, some of these will sell out. I think personally, I think the Wild West Train and the Medieval Seaside Market and possibly the Siege Encampment will be the three sets that I think people will go for. People tend to like Wild West things, they tend to like castles and medieval things, so I think they will do quite popular. The other two, not so sure about. I mean, the Merchant Boat looks okay, it's unusual, it's different, it is a boat and boats tend to do quite well, but not too sure on that one. And I just don't think the Riverside Scholars, as nice as it looks, it does look a really nice set, but I think for me, I just don't think it's going to be one of the more popular sets. I would be hesitant to say that would probably sell out of its 30,000 allocation. I think you get around about a month to buy all of these, but of course as soon as it reaches that 30,000 it kind of will go off pre-order, so you'll tend to find, get on there if you really want a set, get on there on the 4th of February. If you really want it, buy it there and then, because the chances are, if it's a popular set, there's normally a bar that goes along the bottom when you buy them, telling you how close they are to the maximum, to the 30,000. So I think there's certainly going to be a couple of sets, like there normally are, that will sell out quite quickly. With all of these sets, I think there's pros and cons for all of them. I think they all look very, very nice builds. There's certainly a lot of pieces in them, and you certainly, I think in some of them, you get a decent amount of minifigures as well. I know for the Siege Encampment and the Wild West Train, I think you get quite a few minifigures for both of those sets. But as I say, from an investment point of view, looking back at some of the older sets, certainly Series 1 and Series 2, they really haven't gone up in value as much as some of the original series before they start to call them Series 1 and Series 2. So it will be interesting to see how these go. I think from my point of view, because I don't tend to buy these sets to build myself, I'm going to be very hesitant on this particular run. The chances are we will pre-order them in February. These will probably be shipped out around about September, October time. They take around about 6 to 7 months to ship out, so it'll be a while before you'll be able to get your hands on these. And if you haven't bought from Bricklink before, it's worth knowing that the sets, the money will not come out of your credit card or bank account or however you pay for them until the sets are actually shipped. What normally happens with me, I'll pay by credit card. It will show on my credit card for a few days that I've made the order with Lego.com, and you do order all your sets via Lego.com, by the way, and then that'll sort of disappear from my credit card as like a holding fee, and the money won't actually be taken until when the sets are actually sent out and shipped out. So you don't at least have to pay for them straight away, but still you've got to remember that however many sets that you buy, you've got to remember that you're going to have money coming out of your account around about September, October, and depending how much you spend, of course. Now if you were to buy all 5 of these sets, it would cost you in UK pounds £970 almost. In the US that's over $1,100, so it's quite a big expense. And of course if you're buying 2 of all of these, you can buy a maximum of 2 each of all of the different sets. You're talking nearly 2,000 UK pounds and well over 2,000 US dollars. So that is quite a big chunk, quite a lot of money to sort of spend on these sets. And as I say, looking at some of the figures of what the sets are selling for on the secondary market, I don't think some of the increases are going to be as big as some of the original wave. So what am I talking about when I'm talking about that? So originally there were, I think, 15 different Bricklink original sets released. I think they were released between 2021 and 2023. Now I've not got a list of all of them here, But I'll give you some examples of what things are selling for now. Now, one thing to remember, of course, is we have had a considerable amount of time now. We've had 2 or 3 years since these sets were shipped out. So it has had a little bit of a time to sort of accumulate in value for quite a lot of these sets. But also, remember, these had an original run of around about 10,000. So there's much less stock around than some of the more modern Bricklink Designer sets, which certainly have got a lot more. There's a lot more of them in circulation. The first one, the first numbered one, sorry, 91001, the castle in the forest. That was originally £133 here in the UK. I think it was 180 US dollars, 150 euros. They are selling on the aftermarket now, so sealed and brand new and everything on eBay, sold for anywhere between £350 and £400. That's a huge increase. I do wonder whether that will continue, whether that will go up any more than that, because there are a lot more of these sort of castle-y type themes being released within this Bricklink Designer program. So I think that might have possibly peaked. One that maybe hasn't done quite as well as I thought it would be 91002, the Studgate train station. Originally that was £300, 400 US dollars or 340 euros. That's going anywhere between about 450 and 490 pounds at the moment. So yes, there's definitely an increase. It's gone up around about 50-ish% from the original price, but maybe not as much as a lot of people think. I think there's definitely a ceiling on some of these prices. One that's done very, very well, another one, is 91009, which is the Lego store. That was originally, like the Castle in the Forest, £133, 180 US dollars or 150 euros. They are selling for anything between £400 and £480 on eBay. That's a huge increase. I mean, you've tripled your money if you bought one of those back in the day. I'm sure you could only order one each of these at the time. I think there was a limit to how many of these you could order, so I think you could only order one with each account. So that may be another reason why they're a little bit rarer. And there's a few others as well which have gone up in value. The 1950s diner, that's gone up from around about £100 to £150. The bowling alley up from about £170 buy-in to £380. So quite a big increase on that one. There's the safe, which was originally £40, and they're going from anything between 70 and 100. So again, another one of the smaller sets, which I didn't think would do very well, but it has done quite well. And then you've even got something like the Venetian Houses, which was originally 220. That's going for about 310. So not much of an increase on that one. But all of those sets, and there are other ones as well within the list which I haven't gone through, they've all done pretty well to pretty outstanding in my opinion. I think some of them have done very, very well, but as I say, limited release on those, and also you could only, I think, buy one each of those. Now if we compare that to Series 1 and Series 2 of the current Bricklink Designer programs, and these are all sets which were basically came out and were sent out, dispatched within 2024. So we've got the Mountain Fortress 91029. That was originally 300. Well, I call it 300. I'm not bothered with all this 99 pence nonsense. £300, 380 US dollars, and 360 euros. That's going for anywhere between about 340 to 360 on eBay. So a small increase, but not huge. And again, this was a set I think that pretty much sold out within 24 hours. So even a set which sells out very, very quickly, it's very, very difficult to make a lot of money on these Bricklink Designer program sets anymore. Now, it's not to say that in future these will probably keep going up in value slightly, but yeah, I just don't get the feeling that's happening. Not like the original series when you could only buy one. Now you can buy two, and there's 30,000 of them in stock. I don't think the price increases will be going up as much, which of course is great if you are a buyer, because you can buy these sets and hopefully not get ripped off too much. Whereas if you're an investor like me, it's probably not good news and probably not the kind of thing you'll be wanting to plough too much money into. I think there are better normal Lego sets out there that you can buy these days. There's also set 91030, the Snack Shack. That was £40, $50 or 45 euros, and they're going for around about £50, so a £10 increase on eBay sold. The general store, 910031, that was £120, $160, €140. That's going from anywhere between £120 to £125. No real increase on that one, and I don't think that one sold out. I think that still had some availability left, so it didn't quite sell the 30,000. So not too popular, that set, and it really hasn't increased in value at all. So this is why I'm saying, even though it's a Wild Wild West sort of theming, it really hasn't done that well on the aftermarket. A set that's actually gone down in value, and it doesn't surprise me, was 910032, the Parisian Street. That was £260, $320 and €290. That's going for anywhere between £220 to £240. That's a loss if you bought one of those. Now, this was one of the least popular sets at the time. It looked great from the front, and it would work with modular buildings, but it had an open back, and I think that it didn't really lend itself. And I don't think there's a lot going on in the build as well. So it was all just sort of like a facade, a front of a building, which did look quite nice. But yeah, it wasn't popular. It didn't sell too many. It certainly got nowhere near the 30,000. But it was still produced. But yeah, if you bought any of those, you're probably making loss. If you were able to sell any of these, if you are someone that sold these on and made more than the recommended retail price, well done, because generally on eBay now they are going for less than what they're worth. And another one that didn't go up as much as I thought it would was 910033, the old train engine shed. That was £190, €230, no, so €220, 230 in dollars, and that's going for anywhere between £200 and £210. Some of them go for more, some of them go for less. I mean, there are some people on eBay, for whatever reason, they tend to get more money, but generally, on average, that's what they're going for. So only £10 to £20 more than you paid for them. And again, train things and anything to do with trains have in the past done very, very well. So it just sort of shows you sort of how flatlining a lot of these Bricklink sets are for resellers. From the set series 2, which actually were shipped in September, October time, you've got 910034, the Brick Cross train station. That was £230, $280 and €260. They're going for around about £270-ish. So that's done okay, but it's still, only a £50 increase on a £230 set. It's not a great deal. There is time for that one because it's not had very long since they were shipped out, but it just sort of shows you. And one that hasn't done well at all is the Logging Railway, 910035. That was £170, $210 US and 189 in euros. That's going for anywhere between 170 to 175. So really on or just above recommended retail price for that. So even though it's a train, it was weird, that one. I don't think that one sold out either. It's full allocation. It was sort of all built on stilts, and it looked great, but yeah, I think unless you sort of had anything to put it with, it just was a bit weird, and I don't think I bought any of those. I didn't really rate them myself. Another one that's not done great, the 910036, the Ocean House, £160 this cost, $200, €180. They're going for anything between 170 to 180 in pounds. £10 to £20 increase. Again, not an awful lot. Again, nice looking set, but just no great increase. The only one out of all of them that's done anything really is 910037, the Mushroom House. A great looking set. It was a nice set. It wasn't too expensive either. It was £70, $90 or €80. That's going for anything between 95 and 100 in pounds. And I know it shows people have been able to sell these for quite a bit more as well. I just think this probably ticked a box. It was a cheaper set. They sold that on day one as well, so and it's a very appealing and very nice and unusual set. I don't think a lot of these sort of themes, there's a lot of castles, a lot of Wild West stuff, a lot of these things that kind of look the same. So I think the Mushroom House just sort of stood out as something that was just a little bit different. And then finally from set series 2, 910038, the Ominous Isle. It was £190, 240 in dollars, and 220 in euros. That's selling for anywhere between 190 and £200. Again, no profit on that one. Again, I don't think I bought this one. If I did, I only bought one. It just hasn't really increased. So you can certainly see a difference. I know there's a little bit more time on the older series, but A lot of the sets from the older series have really increased in value, but they were a lot more limited to buy. You could only buy one, and they've also had a little bit longer to increase in value. Series 1 and Series 2 really haven't done that well. As I say, if you are buying and want to build these sets, it's not a bad thing because you can get your hands on them without having to spend, hopefully, too much money. So where are we now with the series? So Series 3, I think, was available to pre-order at the end of 2024. I think I bought a few of them again. They're due to be delivered probably in the next month or so, so I'm sort of waiting for a big hit on my credit card. There was set number 910040, the Harbour Master's Office, that was £160. 910039, the Art of Chocolate, that was 190. I bought one of those, I think, as well. And 9100, I've not got the number for this one, 38, 39, probably 43. I'll check the number on that one. But the Forest Stronghold, that was £250. Quite an expensive set. I did buy two of those because they sold out pretty much on day one. But again, I've got a feeling that really probably won't increase in value an awful lot, like some of the other castle sets, like the Mountain Fortress, for example. There was set number 910041, the Camping Adventure, another one of the smaller sets, so possibly this one could do quite well, but again, not quite as appealing as the Mushroom House, so again, it might flatline a little bit. That was £45, I think, here in the UK. And then the other final one was the Lost City 910042, that was £240. I don't think I bought one of those. I didn't like that one, and I didn't think it would do quite well. So here we are again with Series 4, out on the 4th of February. Please do let me know which sets, if any, you are planning to buy. Are you planning to build them, or are you planning to hang on to them and maybe sell them on in the future? My warning would be is potentially they might not do as well as you think they will, and you'll probably be holding on to them if you want to make any decent money. You always get that initial spike when some of these sets come out. But I say some of these sets have been sort of flatlining a little bit, so I just don't think there's probably a lot of profit. The sets are nice, the sets are good, but as to whether they're going to sort of be a great Lego investment, probably not. They're quite big sets, they're fairly expensive sets, and I think from the investment point of view, a lot of people don't actually know what they are. I know at fairs and festivals and things, people just don't really know what these sets are. They like the look of them, they don't realise they're Lego, so they don't say Lego on the front of the boxes, they say Lego on the side of the boxes. So they are official Lego products, but I know that some of the other traders at some of these shows I go to have sort of mentioned that you end up sort of chatting for about 10 minutes actually to what the sets are and how they all work out, and people are obviously interested in them, but yeah, they don't know a lot about them. So there are still a lot of people out there that don't know about these sets, which possibly could make them harder to sell on as well. Of course, you can always sell them on eBay or Amazon potentially if you're able to do that. But yeah, for me personally, I'm starting to cool off a little bit with some of these Bricklink Designer Program Sets. So we'll have to wait and see on the 4th of February, see how I feel on the day as to whether I'm going to push the button on any of these, because I just feel as though, yeah, they're not probably the best investment strategy. Would I build any of these myself? I think out of all of them, the one that I would probably be most tempted to build would probably be the Medieval Seaside Market. I like the look of that one. I've seen a couple of reviews of that one already. It does look a very, very nice set. It's modularised as well, so you can mix it around. I don't really have too many sort of castle sets myself, so it's not as though I have a medieval theme to fit it in. But yeah, out of all 5 of them, I think that's the best. One thing I have noticed as well is that quite a lot of these sets which are able to buy are quite often by a lot of the same designers. So I have sort of noticed that whoever has released sets in the past and have been made into a set from Series 1, they've also got another set in Series 3, and you do see a lot of the names coming up as well. So as nice as some of these sets are, it would be nice to see some other sets from some other designers. I don't know whether Lego have got any sort of limitations to how many sets they will allow each designer to have. You know, I mean, you could literally theoretically have somebody to do a set every single month if it was lucky enough. So I do hope that Lego do try and mix it up a little bit and not just keep using the same designers over and over and over again, because as nice as that is for them, I think they do get some money back from these sets as well. Don't quite know how that works, but you certainly get, I think, a small percentage back of total sales. I think it would be nice to see some other designs in there as well. It may be that the other designs just aren't as popular and not as good, so potentially that might be an issue as well. But yeah, I have noticed quite a lot of the same names over there as well. Anyway, I've been rabbiting on quite a bit. I hope you did enjoy this video. It just give you something to think about. Do let me know if you are going to be buying any of the series 4 Bricklink Designer Program Sets, and if so, which one. Yeah, if you are buying them, are you buying them to buy, or are you buying them possibly to sell on at a future date? So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you then, and happy shopping on the Bricklink Designer Program.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.